Welcome back to HQ presented by Geico. It is time to get more with Geico. Every year, Pete Prisco stirring up drama in different ways. Now putting out his list of cut candidates, players on the brink of getting chopped. We have his list here as we prepare for the 2024 season. Watch out.
No, this was an idea of our producer, Jack, who wants me to get in more trouble with people.
This is exactly.
We can blame Jack for a lot of things these days.
Danny Kanell and Pete Prisco himself joining us now here on HQ. We are going to start with James Bradberry. So last season, he had a terrible season with the Eagles, was part of the second worst pass defense in the entire league. They now move him to safety. Then he gets hurt during minicamp. So that sidelined him. You just think at this point, are we cutting him? Is he out? Does he not have an opportunity here?
I think he's going to get cut. I think when you look at their defensive backfield, they added 2 rookies at corner. They're both going to be on the roster. I think they feel like you move the guy to safety. They're trying to salvage something out of him, and they're okay at safety. I don't think he's going to make the team at safety. He's not exactly young, going to be a great special teams player for you. So I think when you add it all up, I think he's in trouble, and I think he's in big trouble.
I agree. The 2 rookies have looked outstanding, too, so far in preseason and in camp so far. So that's like those 2 draft picks have worked. If there was one that looked like they weren't up to speed, then maybe you'd have a chance. But anytime they ask you to switch positions, it means you're kind of already dancing on thin ice. And that's not, like, I think some people think that's pretty easy to do. That's not an easy transition to make. So, Jenny, you combined it with what happened last year, what we saw last season with that secondary, and James Bradberry getting toasted time and time again. This felt inevitable that this probably is going to happen. I think they've been trying to shop him, too, but the word's kind of out already. So a team's just going to say, you know what, instead of offering some, draft pick down the road, we'll just wait till he hits the open market.
And just to remind people, draft cuts, roster cuts are next Monday?
Next week, yeah.
Next week, okay. Going through teams where Pete Prisco is predicting guys who are going to get cut. We got to go to the Vikings.
Possibly being cut.
Possibly. Save yourself a little.
I like how we're using this for entertainment. This is where I lived on this cut bubble. It is the worst place to be.
So
back in I got to deal with guys like
back in the day, I would have said Danny Kanell, quarterback.
Okay, so this is a good point, though, because when it comes to the Vikings, and this guy right here, drafted in the first round back in 2022, missed most of that season with a lower leg injury. He just had a big game. He had a big hit, 11 tackles.
He had a big game.
And could that save him?
It could save him, and that's why I'm kind of.
And everyone's very sad about that.
Here's the other thing too. And here's the other thing too, Danny, and you know this. Teams are reluctant to get rid of first-round picks. It's hard to cut your mistake and admit your mistake, so that might save him as well. But you're right. That's exactly what he did. He had a really good game. I watched the tape. He looked like the guy we thought he would look like. Lewisine, thought he would look like that coming out of Georgia. He looked like that guy last week. He's been banged up a little bit in his career, and it's hurt him, it's set him back, but he also wasn't very good when he was healthy, and that was a concern. But you're right. He looked like the old guy last week. It is a preseason game, and you know how we talk about preseason games.
Yes.
But he looked different. It might save him. It still might not.
Kevin O'Connell even referenced how happy everybody was for Lewisine that he had that type of game and wondering if that means potentially he could make this roster. You know what's interesting? If they were definitively going to cut him, he probably wouldn't have played. That's what happens a lot of times. Teams don't want a player to get hurt, so they might have seen enough already to say, you know what, we're done. We don't want to get him risk the injury. The fact that they're letting him play and it played as much as he did may be a good sign for Lewisine. And in worst case scenario, the coaches will tell you all the time, if it's not for us, you got to remember who you're playing for on film. So no matter what, I think he'll get picked up somewhere. But this might be that opportunity that he's been needing, sort of a breakout game, even though it isn't the preseason, to save his job.
Or they played him to showcase him, maybe hoping to get something back from him. So there's always they always have angles. It
seems like a big locker room guy because people were so excited for him to have that big of a game. So that speaks to
because they know he has talent and it hasn't showed up.
All right, we're going to talk about someone else that has talent with the Texans, and that's C.J. Stroud. The Texans really making a concerted effort to surround him with some weapons. So just naming off some guys: Dalton Schultz, Dameon Pierce, Joe Mixon, Stephon Diggs, Tank Dell, our girl
We got
Jacqueline,
questions for Jamie.
we got questions about Tank Dell afterwards. Noah Brown, but potentially on the chopping block, you have veteran wide receiver Robert Woods.
Yeah, and this one is in large part age is a factor there, but John Mechie, who came back from being very sick and played last year, wasn't the same guy, actually starting to look like John Mechie again, and that's big for them. He's younger, he's faster, he's more explosive, and I think it'll come down to looking at their group and saying, hey, we have 5 receivers if you count Noah Brown and Mechie. We probably don't need to keep Robert Woods. Even though he was part of their offense last year and made some timely catches and has been a productive player, I just don't see a spot for him on this roster.
I don't either. I mean, this is a deep wide receiver room that's already there. You're starting to get up there in age. You're wondering if the production matches the salary that you command as a veteran in the league. So I think this is one where you're probably looking on the outside in, and it's surely a numbers game at this point. And this is where I wonder if a player like Robert Woods, if he does find another, wide receiver room that may be a little bit more needy, or is it truly the back end of his career where you're starting to say, all right, this might be the last opportunity, and if you don't make this squad, is it potentially the end of the road?
Let's go to the Super Bowl champs, back-to-back Super Bowl champs, the Kansas City Chiefs. We're going to talk about Mecole Hardman, and I would like to preface this. So he was with the Chiefs, went to the Jets for a little bit, came back to the Chiefs here, and this is a team that wants all the targets for Patrick Mahomes. You have to apologize, though, to Taylor Swift. This is the only Chiefs player she has ever named. This was during their Super Bowl ring ceremony. She was up in England. You should know this, Danny. You're a Swiftie. We get another year of Mecole with the little crown.
Wow.
And here you are.
I mean, he should have a lifetime contract.
Yes.
We should just give him a lifetime deal.
Which I feel like this is going to make Pete want to cut him even more.
Well, since I sold my Taylor Swift tickets, I guess they can be mad at me for even more.
Oh, yeah, he did. He made bank.
a lot of money.
Oh, yeah.
He's a smart man.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, I didn't. My wife did, and she sold them because I didn't really want to go anyways. But that's a whole other story. Mecole Hardman, look, the bottom line is it's a numbers game with him. They have so many different guys. Here's the thing. It might come down to Mecole Hardman and Tony, Kadarius Toney. You got to pick one or the other. And I think they'll lean more to Toney in that scenario because they've added guys who can fly. I mean, Xavier Worthy can fly. We saw that last week in the preseason. Hollywood Brown, when he's on the field and he's dinged up right now, can fly. So I think when you look at it, I think ultimately the guy who caught the game-winning touchdown in the Super Bowl might be on his way out.
I think also you want guys that can fly, but you need guys that are more diverse skill set as well. Like you've got those definitive guys who are 4-3 burners on the outside. You don't need all of your guys to be that. I mean, sometimes it can help. You need to be able to run routes too and be complete football players. And also wonder Mecole Hardman's getting up there in age if he's quite the flyer that he once was and able to get past defenses the way he once was at some point in time. So I agree with you. I think it's a numbers game, and I think Mecole days are numbered as well. So Taylor Swift.
You're all upset about that.
I know. I'm not. No, not necessarily that. Like, Chiefs, do whatever you need to do. I'm upset I wasn't offered the tickets.
He made a ton of money on this.
You wouldn't have paid that price when they got
What concert was it?
The one in Miami.
the one in Miami.
Yeah.
That was a.
It's coming in October.
Oh, it's.
Oh gosh. Okay. Before we go to break here,
Like
I do
2 or
want
3 times the amount of money.
I do want to ask a question.
The Swifties, don't come after me, please.
All right, before we go to break, I do want to ask a question to Danny because it is a different day and age right now with social media and just the internet, not to date you that much. But would you have read or seen an article like this from said Pete Prisco and been upset or frustrated as a player?
There is no chance I would have read it.
Okay.
Because I tried to insulate myself from anything negative or any just commentary on where I was. But I guarantee you somebody would have told me about it. Like that's what happens. And even now it's almost impossible to do it.
Yeah.
And some players could use it as motivation. Some guys like to use it as, to fire them up. Other guys it could crumble. I don't know. What?
True story. Back in the day, I wrote a list of potential cuts when I was covering the Jaguars of guys who could be cut.
Yeah.
2 days later, one of the guys got cut. And the players in the locker room came to me and they said, I got him cut because I put his name on the list. True story.
Pete, you're really just ruining
and it's
guys'
not true.
careers.
I had nothing to do with it. Zero. You know that.
We apologize to all these players in advance.
Yeah, we wish you
It's
all
part of the business.
best.
Everybody gets cut.
It's a business.
Pete Prisco, Danny Kanell, all part of the business. We appreciate you guys here on HQ. And all of this is going to culminate when the season starts on September 8th. CBS Sports has you covered over 100 games in the NFL this season that they'll be broadcasting. You can also find them streaming on Paramount Plus.